When a man stumbled upon a crying wolf cub beside her dying mother, he didn't hesitate to step in and help. What he thought was a simple act of kindness soon turned into something unforgettable. Just days later, he received a surprising thank you that left him in awe. When one man saved a wolf and her cubs, he had no idea how that moment would come full circle 4 years later. Wolves, though fierce, clever, and swift as top predators, sometimes find themselves in need of help too. This incredible story unfolded deep in the Alaskan wilderness where, on a sunny spring day, a prospector named Andrew was searching for gold along Coho Creek on the southeastern side of Alaska's Caprino Island. As Andrew stepped out of the dense forest that covered the island, he suddenly froze. Just 20 feet ahead, standing in a bog, was a massive Alaskan timber wolf, trapped and unable to move. The trap, Andrew realized, belonged to his late friend George, a hunter who had passed away just a week earlier from a heart attack. Had Andrew not ventured out that day, the wolf would have surely died there, unnoticed and alone. Andrew slowly began to approach the wolf, hoping he could find a way to help her. Startled and frightened by his presence, the wolf backed away as far as the trap's chain would allow, desperately trying to pull herself free. That's when Andrew noticed something crucial. The wolf was a female, and her teats were full of milk. This meant that somewhere on the island, a den full of hungry pups was waiting for their mother to return. Andrew froze in place, careful not to scare the mama wolf any further. Studying her closely, he guessed she hadn't been trapped for long, maybe just a few days. That gave him hope. If she hadn't been gone too long, her pups were likely still alive, waiting for her care. The female wolf wouldn't have strayed too far from the den, so her cubs wouldn't be more than a few miles away. But now Andrew had a problem. He needed to help free the female canine so that she would be able to get back to her pups. However, Andrew was worried that if he set her free, the wolf would turn aggressive and try to tear him to pieces. Fearing for the cubs' safety, Andrew came up with a new plan. He would search for them and bring them back to their trapped mother. Following faint tracks, he trekked half a mile through the forest and up a rocky slope until he found the den beneath a large spruce tree. Cautiously approaching, he mimicked the mother's call. At first, there was no response, but after several attempts, 4 starving pups appeared and began suckling his fingers. Gently, Andrew placed them into a burlap sack and made his way back to the mother wolf. As he approached, she perked up and let out a high-pitched whine, sensing her babies were near. Andrew released the pups, and they immediately began nursing. Although reunited and fed, the challenge remained. He still didn't know how to free the mother from the trap. Every time that he tried to get close to the little family, the mama would growl at him and warn him back, resigning that he wouldn't be able to free her straight away. Andrew went in search of something for the mama wolf to eat to keep her strength up. He came across the leg of a deer carcass and cut off a hindquarter. Andrew knew that if he was ever going to free the trapped animal, he would have to gain her trust, and food was usually the best way to do this. It would take time though, something that Andrew had plenty of. The prospector made a rough shelter for himself near the wolf family and was soon asleep. The next morning, he was awoken by 4 fluffy bundles of fur sniffing at his face. Though the wolf pups had come to trust Andrew, their mother remained wary. Over the next few days, Andrew split his time between prospecting and caring for the wolf family, feeding the mother venison and playing with the pups to show he wasn't a threat. Each day, he edged a little closer to the trap. On the 5th evening, something changed. The mother wagged her tail slightly. Encouraged, Andrew sat just 8 feet away, close enough to be at risk, but the wolf stayed calm. He eventually drifted off to sleep near the family. The next morning, he awoke to the sound of nursing pups and gently petted them. To his surprise, the mother didn't growl. Carefully, he touched her injured leg. She flinched but didn't pull away. Finally, Andrew inspected the trap. Only 2 toes were caught, swollen but not beyond healing. He pressed the release and freed her. Expecting her to flee, he was stunned when the wolf approached and gently licked his hands. It defied everything he knew about wolves, but he welcomed it with awe. After a while, the mother decided that she was ready to leave, so she gathered up her pups and walked towards the forest before disappearing completely. She turned back to Andrew as if asking him to follow her. Andrew understood, gathered his belongings, and followed the animal. They eventually ended up ascending Enough Mountain and came upon an alpine meadow along the edge of the mountain. Lurking in the shadows was a wolf pack of around 9 adults and 4 nearly full-grown pups. The mama wolf and her pups approached the pack, and after a few minutes of greeting, the entire family broke into howling. Andrew watched from a distance, amazed that he was witnessing something so spectacular. As night fell, the man set up his camp by the light of his fire. As dusk fell, Andrew noticed wolf shapes slipping through the shadows, but he wasn't afraid. He knew they were just curious. At dawn, it was time to leave. He packed his things as the mother wolf silently watched. Reaching the far side of the meadow, he looked back one last time. The wolf and her pups sat exactly where he'd left them, watching. Andrew waved goodbye, and the mother let out a mournful howl as he turned and descended the mountain, never expecting what would happen next. Years later, after serving in World War II, Andrew returned to Coho Creek. In the woods, he spotted the rusted trap that once held the mother wolf. Feeling a strange pull, he climbed back to the meadow and let out a low wolf call. To his amazement, a howl answered. Moments later, a large timber wolf approached. It was her. She paused, tail gently wagging, then disappeared into the trees. Though he never saw her again, Andrew carried the memory of that moment and the bond they shared for the rest of his life. At the foot of a nearby mountain lies a small village of about 30 families, including Mrs. Phillips. Now 60, she's still spry and walks with surprising speed. Known for her medical knowledge, villagers often turn to her for help with illnesses and childbirth. Therefore, Mrs. Phillips is respected by all the villagers. She's the only doctor in the village. One day, Mrs. Phillips was packing her herbs at home and found that a kind of herb was gone. The weather was very good that day, so she wanted to pick some herbs in the mountains. She carried a basket on her back and climbed up. She often collects herbs, so she knows where that herb grows. It didn't take her long to find it. She planned to pick some other herbs, so she wouldn't climb up mountains often. Then she began to look for herbs. She was going home when her basket was full. It was still early in the evening, and she was walking leisurely. Halfway up the mountain, Mrs. Phillips heard a mournful howl. Living there for years, she recognized it as a wolf's cry and, frightened, quickened her pace. But soon, a wounded wolf appeared before her, lying in a pool of blood. Realizing it was no longer a threat and in pain, she saw the wolf's bulging belly and knew it was struggling to give birth. As a doctor, Phillips valued all life, human or animal, and couldn't walk away. Though the wolf growled and bared its fangs when she approached, she calmly reassured it, saying, "Don't be afraid, I'll help you." Remembering the pills she carried for women suffering blood loss during childbirth, she offered one to the wolf, not knowing if it would work. The wolf, sensing her intent, swallowed it. Soon, its strength returned, its eyes brightened, and after a few tense moments, the wolf gave birth to 4 healthy pups. Though weak, the wolf had made it through, thanks to Phillips' courage and compassion. It needed some nutrition. Mrs. Phillips didn't have any food in her hands. After looking up at the sky, she found it's almost dusk. Her home is not far from the forest. She said to the wolf, "Wait for me. I'll go home and get you something to eat. You need nutrition now." She picked up her basket and walked home, wanting to get home before it's completely dark. She returned home soon and took out a piece of pork in the kitchen. She got it after seeing a patient yesterday. She looked at the meat and thought it's not enough, so she ran to the hunter. After she got there, she said, "Paul, I want some meat, a lot of meat." The hunter smiled and said, "Okay, why do you want to eat meat today?" Mrs. Phillips didn't accept the meat offered to her earlier, but she hadn't explained why. "I just wanted to eat some meat," she said. When Paul, the butcher, handed her a large piece and she tried to pay, he stopped her. "You're the only doctor in our village. This is our thanks for everything you've done." Though she initially refused, Paul insisted, so she smiled, accepted it, and said, "All right, I'll keep doing my best to help everyone." That night, with the meat in hand and a torch in the other, she climbed the mountain. The wolf was still there, gently licking her pups. When Phillips arrived, torchlight in hand, the wolf let out a happy sound. If it hadn't been so weak, it might have circled her in joy. Phillips knelt beside her, stroked her head, and placed the meat in front of her. Phillips said, "Eat it. It's enough for you. This is all I can do. You must struggle to live." The wolf seemed to understand it, and howled in a low voice to express his gratitude. Mrs. Phillips left there. The wolf successfully passed this difficult time after getting this meat. Phillips thought it was her mission as a doctor and didn't expect the wolf to save her in the future. One day Phillips was cooking medicinal herbs at home. She's old, so gets tired easily. The herb has to be cooked for a long time, so she plans to take a nap. Then she slept soundly. She woke up, choked by the smoke, and found a fire. She wanted to run outside. However, the beam on the roof fell off and blocked her. A wave of calm washed over her. She felt strangely content, as if this was fate. Neighbors had rushed over after hearing the commotion, but the fire had grown too fierce for anyone to enter the house. As panic set in, a wolf's howl suddenly pierced the air. Then, out of nowhere, a wolf charged into the burning house. Inside, Phillips, nearly unconscious from the smoke, saw the creature through blurred vision and wondered if she was hallucinating. Before she passed out, the wolf reached her and began dragging her to safety. It was then that the villagers realized the wolf was the same one Phillips had once saved. Since recovering, it had often lingered near her home, quietly waiting for a chance to return the favor. This time, it had been nearby when the fire broke out and, seeing the danger and the crowd gathered outside, didn't hesitate to act. Unable to spot Phillips in the crowd, the wolf charged into the flames without hesitation. After pulling her out, fire clung to both of them, and the wolf howled in pain. A villager quickly sprayed them with a hose, dousing the flames. Phillips was placed in a neighbor's house, unconscious from smoke inhalation but thankfully uninjured. She just needed rest to recover. The wolf, however, had suffered burns. Patches of its fur were scorched, some severely. After saving Phillips, it stayed close to her side. The villagers, aware of what the wolf had done, didn't try to chase it away. But no one dared approach it with medicine. Any attempt was met with defensive growls and aggression. Fortunately, it wasn't long before Phillips regained consciousness. She looked at the wolf lying beside her bed and realized that what she had seen before losing consciousness wasn't a dream, it was real. This wolf had saved her, and not just any wolf, it was the very one she had once rescued. Philip saw the burns on its skin and broke down in tears, overwhelmed by the wolf's selfless act. Thankfully, with her care, the female wolf recovered. From that day forward, a deep, unspoken bond formed between them. By day, the wolf accompanied Philip as she gathered herbs, guarding her from wild animals. By night, it hunted in the mountains and stood watch over Philip's home. As a doctor, Philip helped save the female wolf during childbirth. In a remarkable show of gratitude, the wolf became willing to risk her own life for her. The bond between humans and animals is often beautifully pure. I show you kindness because you showed it to me. It's a powerful reminder that we must learn to live in harmony with the animals we share this world with. What do you think of this story? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you like this story. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.